there, and welcome to a little weekly vlog. Hopefully the sound is okay because I have the windows open. It's beautiful today and I just couldn't not have the windows open, but I wanted to pop in and say hi and kind of welcome you to this vlog that you will have already seen a little bit of footage on from the week. So this is my last week at home before school starts. So school starts next week, right after Labor Day for me. And something that I haven't announced yet on the channel is that I actually quit my job. And I will be going to school full-time for a bit until I find my next opportunity. So I have been just basking in the chaoticness, craziness of the last few weeks of having no schedule. And so this week is my last week of freedom, and I also have a bunch of stuff just going on this week, so I figured that I would bring you all along. No real plans. I'm just gonna sort of pop in and out. And so yeah, so I'm coming to you on Wednesday, which is August 27th. And so already the footage you would have seen so far would have been from Monday and Tuesday. So Monday I actually got to spend the day with Tashi, and we spent the day in the city just making our way around. We had a late breakfast, and then we pretty much just putzed around Battery Park, just sort of park hopping and knitting and eating and doing all the things and catching up because it's been a while since we caught up in person. And then yesterday, what did I do yesterday? Yesterday was a lot of admin in the morning actually, so I don't think that I have really much admin stuff, but or much footage from yesterday other than a tiny bit of footage from the BIPOC craft circle that I went to with my friend Symphony at Cleo's Yarn Shop in Brooklyn. So we did make it out last night to that event, and so that was a lot of fun. So I guess in terms of what I have planned for this week and today, just like a lot of life admin. So I actually put in some footage before, either right before this or right after this. I'll put in some footage of sort of getting ready for the semester and how I plan out my tasks in Asana. And so I use Asana for all of my project management, and so I will be using it for, or I have used it and will continue using it for sort of like my class project management, if you will, so that I can, you know, make sure I'm hitting my assignments, make sure I'm doing my readings every week. I'm taking 4 courses this semester, so it's going to be very heavy course load and very heavy reading. And so I just want to make sure I stay on top of everything. And then other than general ASM stuff that I'm doing admin-wise, I have a sample that I need to finish knitting. Unfortunately, it flared up quite a bit of wrist pain for me, so I'm a tiny bit delayed, but I reached out to them and they said I could have a week extension, which is great, so I'll be working on that. And I am currently running 2 test knits for Amy, so just checking in on those. I need to finish my own test for the campus cardi, which if you haven't seen my fall planning video, I'll link it up above in the eye so that you can check that out. And then I've actually just finished my test for the sock that I'm running, and so I'll give you a preview of that. I actually ended up making 2. So these are blocked and finished. And these are a pair that I made for Symphony because I accidentally cast on the wrong size. And so we went in on yarn together on 3 skeins of yarn. So I figured, I was like, well, I have the yarn. We had it shipped to me, so I figured I have the yarn. I'll just make yours. And then I finished my own pair last night as well. So I have to do the notes and be a good tester as well as test coordinator and submit those, but I do need to block these, and I think the plan is to take some pictures of those. I do have quite a bit of the yarn left, so I'll show you what that is. This is a Knitter's Homestead, their DK sock. And so the variegated color is called Cottage Fairy, and then the purple red color is called Mulberry Pie. So as you can see, I still have quite a bit left. We got 3 skeins, so 2 of the variegated and 1 of the contrast color between the 2 of us. And so since we still have so much left, I'm actually going to make some socks for Amy's kiddos with the leftover yarn and hopefully make a little bit of a dent in my 25 socks in 25 challenge that I have fallen really far behind on. So other than that, today I will be spinning, I will be sewing, I've gotten all my admin done, and I will check back in with you probably tomorrow. And we're back to close out this vlog. So unfortunately, the week ended up being quite a bit more admin than I'd initially intended it to be, but I still got some pretty fun footage of the various activities that I got up to, both at the beginning of the video that I already walked you through, as well as the clips that you've seen since my last sit down, where I went upstate to pick up a spinning wheel that I purchased off of Facebook Marketplace. You can't see her right now, so I will eventually kind of bring you down so you can kind of see her a little bit more. But the rest of the week was a lot of admin, and then the trip on Thursday, and then a lot more admin when I came back, as well as the sample knitting, which unfortunately I can't show on camera just yet. So I think that this is going to be a short one, although I intended it to be a little bit more fun. But I had an awesome week. So as I mentioned, I did go up to the Albany area. So Cece's Wools is, I think it's called Gilderland, is the suburb of Albany where the yarn shop is. And so when I purchased this wheel, or was looking to purchase this wheel, I contacted the person that I purchased her from, and she is located all the way up in Plattsburgh. And so we decided to meet somewhat halfway. And so when I proposed Albany, she mentioned that we could meet in the parking lot of Cece's Wools, which of course I wanted to do. I've actually ordered a few things from them in the past, and so it was a great excuse to get up there and actually see the store in person, which, oh my God, the store is so amazing. It is a really, really great yarn store, and I will definitely be ordering a lot more from them in the future. But yeah, a little bit on the spinning wheel, and I will probably get a little bit more in detailed. I'm thinking I'm going to do a spinning specific podcast episode for the channel, because I do have quite a few things that have happened over the summer that are spinning related. But this is a CPW reproduction, or Canadian production wheel reproduction. So she is much smaller, and she does have some of the cast iron and leather bearings that you would traditionally find in a CPW. However, has screw tension as opposed to a tilt tension, and she's still double drive and all of that jazz. And yeah, when I came across a listing on Facebook Marketplace a while ago, I think it was like a month ago now, and I'd seen it, just based on pictures, you just never know, but just based on pictures, I fell in love with her. And then when I checked the listing again, so the listing was originally like 350, and then when I checked the listing again, it was like 250, and then I was like, oh my God, should I message the seller now that it's dropped quite a bit? And so she is pretty much brand new, and that was in the listing, and only has one bobbin though. And I had initially meant to actually reach out to the seller when she dropped the price to 250, and then I got distracted, and then I was talking to one of my friends a couple days later, and remembered that I had meant to check the listing, and then I checked it again, and she dropped the price to 200. I was like, oh my God, I have to reach out to her. I just, like, something about this wheel was just speaking to me. And so I got into conversations with the seller. And so this is a wheel that was made by Guy Willett, who comes from a line of wheel makers. And so they have a history, the family, of almost 200 years of making wheels. And he was the last person in the family that made wheels. And so for this particular wheel, it was purchased at an estate sale. The person that I purchased it from, she purchased it at an estate sale, and the person that was selling this was the person's son, who had bought the wheel brand new in the late 60s and had tried spinning, never really got the hang of it, and then it sat unused since then. And fortunately, the family just preserved it really well, even though they didn't know much about spinning. I guess they had a lot of antiques and woodworking items and things like that. So they preserved it really well, so that when Stacey, who's the person that I purchased it from, picked it up at the estate sale, she said it was pretty much brand new. She oiled it up, she cleaned it up, and everything was perfect. Other than the only thing that she did was give it a new drive band, but all of the leather bearings, everything is pretty much, everything was in perfect working condition. She hasn't changed anything on the wheel. And so it is a mahogany wheel, and as I mentioned, it was made by Guy Willett, who was the last person in this family to make wheels. And so I'm really excited. I have named her after Stacey, who I purchased the wheel from, and I just am happy that I'm able to give her a new life and have someone spin from her on a regular basis. So I am going to order some storage bobbins because obviously I only have one bobbin. So as I spin on her, I'm going to need to then transfer the singles onto a storage bobbin so then I can ply. And I'll probably still do all of my plying on my EEW or my Lendrum. And the reason for that is that this bobbin so far, it's almost full. I'm almost about done with this spin. Only holds about 2 ounces. So if I, which is perfect for singles, I typically just spin 2 ounces on a single, but I do typically I will typically ply a full 4 ounces together, or in this case, it'll be more because I'm probably going to do a 3-ply with the spin that I'm doing. So my goal is to do some woolen spinning on this. So I'm really excited about that. I gave her a good clean with just some soapy water, and then spent the day today, which is Saturday before you're seeing this tomorrow, if you're seeing it when it goes live, just oiling her up. Although she was perfectly oiled and all of that, we did all that when we were trying her out in the parking lot, because obviously I cleaned her with like soapy water. Some of the oil just got away. And so as I was spinning this morning, just re-oiling and all of that. And then I just ran out of my wax. So I had to reorder some more wax. So that's coming. So once that comes later this week, I'll give her a nice wax and rehydrate her. And I'm really excited to have now the second wheel, because I have one e-spinner, but the third member in my spinning family join family. So yeah, I'm gonna leave you all here for the video. I'll go ahead and pop in some footage of me chatting you through the little parts and things of the wheel, and I'll probably give you a little bit more of an in-depth view of the spinning wheel when I come out with my spinning podcast in a couple weeks. Okay, so this isn't necessarily the best angle, but I just wanted to give you a quick peek, and like I mentioned, I'll probably go into a little bit more detail on the wheel itself in my podcast episode that will be dedicated to spinning, but I wanted to show you all some features that you can kind of see straight on. As I mentioned, this is a double drive wheel, so we have the double drive band here, and that is on the orifice and on the flyer and on my bobbin, and it has hook spokes on. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but it does have hook spokes on the flyer to guide your thread. This has all wood or leather or cast iron. There's nothing plastic, nothing like that on this wheel. So the flyer is actually held by some leather bearings. So you have some leather here in the front, as well as leather in the back, as well as leather in the front, which is holding the flyer. And it has a really very small orifice because this is meant to spin very thin yarn. And the cool thing about this is it's so just the way that they've put together is just so cool, where even the leather bearing that holds the flyer, the orifice in the front, has this little stick of wood that holds the leather bearing in the wood. That's literally it. It's just a piece of leather that you stick the orifice through, and it's held on with a random little tiny stick of wood, which is really cool. But it has the screw tension here in the front, so this will move your mother of all forward and back so that you can adjust your tension. And then a cool thing about this is that I don't know if you can see from this angle. Let's see if I move her over. You can still see that it has a handle. So this family was known to make CPWs, although this is obviously a CPW reproduction. And one thing that I was reading about ghee is that when he was actually throughout his career mostly creating spinning wheel sort of looking objects. So they were objects that looked like antique spinning wheels but didn't actually spin. They were decorative, but he did also produce spinning wheels obviously as well. And toward the end of his career, so like in the late 60s and 70s, as he was winding down his business, he was actually using a lot of parts left over from his father's time. So this actually, when I'm looking at this mother of all, it does look like some of the older mother of alls that were in the other sort of spinning wheels by this family. And so they were known for CPWs that were a little different. Instead of having like the traditional big cast iron sort of tilt tension control here, they used a U-bolt. So they just had a cast iron bolt that went around the mother of all, and then you would do your tension that way. And so this looks like it could even have just been like an older one that he reused. So like toward the end of his career, he was known to reuse the parts that he had left over from his father and from his grandfather and great grandfather as he was winding down the business. So it's interesting because even though this is a screw tension, it does still have a handle here that you would typically see in the older model wheels, because they had that U-bolt where you actually needed to have the handle to adjust your tilt tension. But yeah, so looking at the wheel itself, it is a 22-inch wheel is the wheel. So it is obviously smaller than a CPW. I think the smallest size that can be considered a CPW is 26. Although this is bigger than my Lendrum. My Lendrum is 19 inches. And everything here, you can see the cast iron pieces that connect to your wheel. It has, you know, everything is your wood caps and everything. And then this does have a wood foot treadle. So this is single treadle. And then in the front, I have another kind of the spokes. And it's actually really pretty. On all of his woodworking, he has this trio of lines going on all of the pieces. So on the spoke that holds the spinning wheel in the front, on the handle that I mentioned over here, he has the 3 sort of lines etched there. And then also on the handle for the screw tension, he also has the 3 lines etched. And then what you can't see is on the footman, on the treadle itself on the bottom, carved all across the bottom bar where your foot pedal lies, there are sort of sets of the 3 lines carved all across. So this wheel is really cool, where you see kind of like those details that are just spread throughout. So as I mentioned, I did give her a good clean with soapy water. So that's why she kind of looks a little thirsty, because she is. And then once my wax comes in, which of course I just ran out of, I will go ahead and hydrate her so that she can have a hopefully nice long life with me. So that's all I have for you all for this little vlog. I hope that you enjoyed coming along this week with me. I will be putting in some footage at the end of this, just of sort of a little bit of low music, just me spinning on her this morning. So a couple minutes with some like classical music or something like that, so that you all can hear her chatter. She spins really well and just has that really nice double drive chatter that you get from a wheel, and I'm really excited to get to know her a lot better. And I will leave you here, so you all will see me next week for the regular knitting podcast. And then, as I mentioned, I'm gonna have a separate spinning podcast episode that will probably go up the week after that. And then we are going to start getting ready for Rhinebeck and some fall travels in the weeks following. But I will leave you here until next week. I hope you've enjoyed the video. As always, be sure to let me know what you're working on, if you like the style of video, if you have any requests for my spinning podcast, because there's still time before I before I film it. If you have any requests for anything you'd like me to cover in my spinning episode in a couple of weeks, let me know in the comments. And like always, just do all the podcasty things like subscribe and leave me a comment. And I'll see you next time. Bye.